Hey, welcome back to Kult of Athena's YouTube channel. I'm your host, Tom. Today we're looking at the Balaur Arms Renaissance Sidesword, to some specs, up close looks, and a little bit of movements. Alright, talking about the first impressions of this one for Renaissance Sidesword from Balaur Arms. This one, first and foremost, it's pretty striking. The blue is really striking. It's more toward like a royal blue, and the scabbard is just about exactly the same blue on that. This is a wood cord, actually a very thick wood on the inside of the scabbard, so this is a very durable scabbard this comes with. We're going to see this one being a Renaissance side sword. It's coming off of a medieval arming sword. So what that means is normally if we saw a sword of this length, usually of double edge, whether there's a diamond cross section or not, there's usually just a cross guard. There's not a knuckle bow, and there's definitely not rings for added hand protection. So now we're looking at a time where hand protection was more intricate. This is also when rapiers were also being used synonymously. So these extended positions of holding the center with the thrust are going to be even more apparent because we've got a lot of added hand protection to this thing. So the rings are there obviously for parries. So whether you're parrying inside to outside, anything like that, I'll show it from the side because it's a better view. So we have a lot of hand protection to the inside and to the outside. And then in regards to cut, we also have hand protection in that plane as well. And it's just an overall really well built sword. It's not necessarily heavy. It is more on, it's definitely not whippy, but it's definitely not a rapier. So we have pretty much the same hand protection we would get off of an early rapier, like an early Spanish rapier, where we have the rings, we have a cross. Sometimes we'll have a knuckle guard as well. But we have the range, we have much more range and that cross section that would be associated more with side sword or even a town guard sword, which is pretty much, it's in the same category. So a lot of hand protection, a very comfortable handle. The handle is more circular, but I will say that they got really specific with the handle. What I mean is this looks like it's completely circular, but it flattens out so that when your hand rests into the handle itself, you have our notches here. That's really going to hit your ring finger and really your middle finger. And then if we're going to wrap around the first ring, that wraps really nicely to where this is a little bit more flat toward the middle finger and the ring finger, and then my thumb can close. If you did want to go here as well, I mean, there's really nothing wrong with that. Maybe you're playing something when you're in your own training that you're learning how to stabilize the tip of the weapon more. Maybe you want to play with that. But for a side sword, primarily going to see this type of grip. Cuts, obviously with the our knuckle guard here, we're going to have that hand protection on cut. So we got to look at this more of not being just a self-defense weapon like the rapier would have been, where it's going to be 99% thrust in this extended position. We need both. So we need cut and thrust. So if this is battlefield and you're clearing your flanks on different cuts to keep people off your flanks, and then you come back to holding the thrust in the center, you have the best of both worlds here. Both edges on this are sharp. Balaur Arms, cut testing wise, for a high forehand cut, that would go directly through a tatami mat. No problem at all, or water bottles. If you are using any type of like back of the blade strikes, if you're using different types of tears and larger cuts, I don't see this being a problem at all, especially for the point of balance and that this thing has some weight to it. If you are working a little bit more of slices and different wrist manipulations and just like shooting the thrust in, this thing's got plenty of weight behind it. I mentioned before too about the scabbard. This thing is pretty beefy, to be honest with you, and I think it's well warranted regarding that this thing packs some serious heat. So look how thick the wood is on the inside of the scabbard. So this is a really thin layer, not really thin, it's a thinner layer of leather around it. This is mostly just I can't really put the sword down right now because I don't want to get dirty, but like this is a pretty dense scabbard. So if I do put this in, this is a pretty dense scabbard, which I really like a lot. They did a great job on that. This is reminiscent as far as like density feeling while still having a good point of balance as the Balaur Arms Kriegmesser, which is actually like probably my favorite sword in the last like year and a half or two that I've reviewed. So if you see a Kriegmesser from Balaur Arms in stock in Kult of Athena, and you want something that's just an all-around, just like beast, that's something that you should definitely pick up. Take a look at a little bit of footage of cut, thrust, and guard with the Balaur Arms Renaissance Sidesword. Hey, thanks for joining me for this quick review of the Balaur Arms Renaissance Sidesword. This one's available at cultofathena.com. Click the link in the description below this video to pick this one up today to add to your collection. This would be a great one to train with for those of you that fence in Sidesword and you want something that's a live blade for your own fencing training. If you want to also pick it up for a cutter, that would actually be awesome because Balaur does a great job on their edges. As always, let us know in the comments below what you think of this sword. Let me know what you want to see on the channel. I'm your host, Tom, for Kult of Athena's YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure you follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and I'll see you in the next review.